Hey, what is up, y'all? Eric here, aka Kyle, and today I'd like to welcome y'all to the new episode of Judgment. So far, if you haven't seen my other episode, the playlist will be in the description. So, for this one, I'll be uploading, those who are watching YouTube, I'll be uploading 2 videos of it. This one and a new episode, or a new chapter. So, if you haven't seen my other episodes of the series, the playlist will be in the description. So, yes, here we are. Without further ado, let's get it started. Let's go talk to her.
Are you finished?
Not yet. Just a little longer. The window's sealed shut. There's no way Waku-san could have escaped through here. I wonder how well you can see in here from the hallway.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah, I've seen what I need. Anything else you can share?
How long will Okubo-san's sentence be?
Huh?
If he's found guilty, that is.
Probably 10 years, maybe more. It's hard to say for sure.
And what if he confesses? Would they shorten his sentence?
Well, at the very least, it'd make a better impression than insisting he didn't do it.
But you're still going to push an innocent plea? Even though Okubo-san is the one who'll suffer for it?
If he's really not guilty, he won't have to. I'll win. But to be perfectly honest, this is my first criminal case.
What?
Civil cases have been a mixed bag for me, too. I've actually lost more than I've won.
Is that so?
Apparently, a smart lawyer would never even consider an innocent plea in this case. Guess it's a good thing that I'm not so smart then, because I honestly believe I can win. Terasawa-san, were you close to Okubo-kun?
I spoke to him pretty often, yes. I would see him around the ward all the time.
And what did you think of him? Did he seem like the kind of guy who'd do something like this?
I'm sorry. The director told us not to say too much.
Wait! If you know anything that can help, just get in touch, okay? I'll do whatever it takes to set Okubo-kun free. But I can't do it alone. Just give it some thought, Terasawa-san. Just now, we went to the ADDC. Thought I should have a look at things with my own eyes.
And? How did it go?
There's no chance you walk. You're practically a lost cause.
Hey!
Yagami-sensei, is that what you think?
It's like this, Okubo. You tell me you're innocent, and I'll fight to the end. I really have nothing to lose by helping you out.
It's just like I told you. Whoever did it is framing me.
Wakaboo.
On the day of the crime, you were in the general ward of the ADDC, yes? Starting at 8 a.m., you went around to each room and gathered the linens.
Yes. Nobody would dispute that.
And after that, you covered Waku-san's nose and mouth, suffocated him, and then carted him out in a laundry bin.
That's not true. Waku-san wasn't there when I went into his room. I didn't see him at all that day. You have to believe me.
And I do. So when you went down to leave the center at 10 a.m. after gathering the linens, you realized there was a body hidden in the truck.
Yes. That's what happened.
Then, after debating whether or not to report the body, you chose to hide it in the mountains.
That's gonna be a huge, horrible decline in the trial.
I had a criminal assault on my record. I knew the police would have suspected me if I went to them.
Aren't you forgetting the bad blood you had with Waku-san?
Huh?
Bad blood?
Alright,
What are you
drinking
talking
water.
about?
3 days before the murder, Waku-san claimed Okubo-kun here punched him and stole his wallet. They told me all about it at the center,
When did you even ask?
while you were busy chatting up Terasawa-chan. Even if I bitch about it, I'm still damn good at my job.
Well, Okubo-kun, did you take his wallet or...
Not quite. They call it delusion of theft. It's a symptom of dementia. You think something's been stolen from you, then blame the first person you see. Not the easiest thing to deal with, right? Someone accuses you of theft for no reason? Must have been a shock. So when Waku-san tried to hit you, you just about hit him back.
But I didn't hit him.
No. You murdered him.
I wouldn't kill a man over something like that.
Ah, I wish I could believe you, pal. Come on, Okubo-kun. You got a record of violence.
It wasn't me. I swear. Somebody set me up. Please, you have to believe me. Whoever did this is laughing at all of us right now.
Calm down.
Yagami-sensei, do you believe me?
I do.
Okay. Then next time, come alone.
Fine. I can take a hint. You and Yagami-sensei can cuddle up all you want.
Hey, you know that nurse, Terasawa-san? Cute girl. It sounded like she was worried about you. Bet you'd have a chance with her once you get out of here.
I don't know. If you'll excuse me.
I guess that's done with the interrogation. Interrogation.
So Shintani just left you hanging, huh? He's gotta learn some damn patience.
Maybe so. But this is my case now. I can handle it myself.
Okay.
Alright, so
Yagami-san.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Have you seen Mafia lately?
Where's this coming from?
She's just not that great with men. I suggest you be more assertive.
Right. Okay.
You mean that friend of yours, Saori-kun? She's got Shintani all riled up. Said he'd have been nicer to you if he knew you had friends who looked like her. Jackass.
Hey, nothing's official yet, guys. Regardless, keep it on the down low, okay?
Yet? That word says more than you think.
alright.
Mafia-kun's a prosecutor, right? Isn't it kind of taboo for her to date a defense attorney?
Can we not do this?
Either way, guess the Okubo case comes first. Bleeding innocent, yeah?
That's the plan.
What is your plan here? This isn't gonna be an easy win.
Well, I'm working on that. There's one piece of evidence that still bothers me.
Yeah? And what's that?
What should I focus on if I want to prove Okubo is innocent? So let's see. We have Waku's hospital room, window, hallway, laundry, victim's body fluid. Let's see. What's good evidence to use? Maybe body fluid? Nah. Let's try this one.
It's the hospital room the victim was staying in. This is the last place Wakusan was seen before he disappeared. The window doesn't open, so the only way out is through the door. No one saw him leave, though, even though there are always people in the halls. And the only one who entered the room was Okubo with his laundry cart.
Hey, I don't want to be a downer, but doesn't that point to Okubo being the killer?
Well, that's not my point, though. The evidence I showed you is...
That evidence won't win you the case.
What the hell's your problem?
Was that Shintani?
I think so.
Get back here!
Oh, what happened, dude?
That bastard. Oh, was eavesdropping on you.
What the hell?
I tried to stop him, but he pulled a stun gun on me.
Uh-oh. Get him.
Hey! Wait up!
Get him.
You won't get away!
Dang it.
Hold up! You won't get away!
Come on. Nice. Okay.
Hold up!
Keep going. Come on. Almost close to him, or... Got it. Is that a girl?
A woman?
Help! Someone help me!
Aren't you Terasawa-san?
Let me go!
We got a groper out here? Scum of the earth!
Okay. I'll ask for it.
Not on my watch, you son of a bitch!
Alright, come on now. Street thugs. Did it.
Can all lawyers fight like that?
Did you really need to run away like that? I assume you came to see me.
There was something I wanted to talk to you about, yes. But I wasn't sure if I should. Then that pig-headed friend of yours started shouting, so I just lost it.
Okay, but did you have to tase him? Not that he didn't have it coming. Anyway, I'm listening if you want to talk. No matter what it is, I'll keep your secret. Anything you tell me will fall under client-attorney privilege.
Well, you know the witness who last saw Waku-san? Said he saw him sleeping in his bed.
Uh-huh.
Well, that witness is a man by the name of Shono-san. He's one of the scientists at the ADDC. Not only that, but he's the director's right-hand man, too.
This is him?
Pretty much you're run off to the mill researcher.
Yes. He's a very dedicated doctor, so the nurses have a lot of faith in him. But something felt off when I heard what he had to say about the incident.
And what's that?
I guess I'm just skeptical as to whether or not he actually saw Waku-san. I don't think he's intentionally deceiving us, but he may be mistaken somehow. And if I had to guess, I'd say the other nurses feel the same.
Still, why hasn't anyone mentioned this until now?
How could we? Nurses talking about a doctor behind his back? That's not something a nurse could do without consequences. And if it came to a courtroom testimony,
None of you would testify?
maybe the other nurses wouldn't, but I would. I never really fit in over there anyway. Besides,
Yeah?
I think Okubo-san is innocent.
Oh, really? Sounds like I've finally got an ally on my team.
Alright, so now we know what's going on. Go to court. Tokyo District Courthouse.
I'm currently employed as a researcher at the Advanced Drug Development Center. Part of our research consists of clinical tests we perform on patients in the general ward of the center. On the day of the crime, I was making my usual rounds through the ward.
And what time was that?
Around 7:50?
You're sure?
Yes, the patients eat breakfast at precisely 8 o'clock. I always head to the break room myself, right around then, too.
This break room, to be precise?
That's correct. Our more mobile patients walk there for breakfast instead of eating in their own rooms. Then, while the nurses help the patients eat, I ask about how they feel and how the medicine is treating them.
And on the day of Waku-san's disappearance, you passed by his room before going to the break room?
Yes,
And in that room, you saw Waku-san lying on the bed.
yes.
Can you describe the situation to us as you remember it?
The door has a window, so you can see into the room from the hallway.
And this is the room you're referring to, yes?
That's correct. From where I was standing in the hallway, I could see Waku-san lying in bed. He was asleep, with a blanket covering most of his body.
And what time was that?
Around 7:50.
No further questions.
Yagami-sensei, why did you call her to the stand?
She actually asked to testify. Is that a problem?
Not really, no.
Here's my chance for a combat.
Terasawa-san, you were present for Shono-san's testimony just now, yes?
Yes,
And what is your opinion on that testimony?
for a scientist, I felt his wording was rather imprecise. And as a medical professional, I felt his actions were negligent.
Could I ask you to be a little more specific?
Our witness, Shono-san, claims he saw Waku-san sleeping in his bed during his morning rounds. However, there's no way he could have known that just by looking in from the hallway.
I have evidence supporting Terasawa-san's testimony.
Shono should have been able to see Waku. Evidence approved. hallway. So, the hallway, I believe.
Please look at this. It's a photograph of the victim's room as viewed from the hallway. In other words, this is what Shono-san would have seen when he checked in on Waku-san.
Alright, and this evidence pointed out this fact. Shono testimony, the lie, the corporate is Shono, the victim's already dead, corporate's dead. Let's start with this one. I believe it's this one.
Shono-san was lying when he said he saw Waku-san in the bed.
Excuse me?
What he saw from the door was likely nothing more than a bulge of sheets. He couldn't have been able to identify it specifically as Waku-san. So to claim as much in his testimony seems like quite an exaggeration, don't you think?
But common sense would dictate otherwise, would it not? Who would be in the bed other than Waku-san?
The staff nurses are trained to always enter a room when checking in on a patient. In Waku-san's case, it's impossible to tell anything just by looking in from the hallway. There was actually one time a while back where we thought he was under the covers, only to find Waku-san eating in the break room a second later. And upon re-examining the room, we realized that we had mistaken a bunched-up pillow for Waku-san.
The witness makes an important distinction. The prosecution asserts that Shono-san's testimony is clear, that the victim was taken out of his room at some point between 7:50 and 8:30 in the morning. They claim that because of this time frame, the defendant must have smuggled Waku-san's body out in his laundry bin.
That's true. That's why Okuto-kun was assumed to be the only person who could have killed Waku-san.
But if Shono-san's testimony is invalid, as the defense asserts, we have to consider the possibility that Waku-san was taken in the middle of the night when nobody else was around. After which, the killer could have waited until the morning to plant the body in the defendant's truck. In other words, the defense establishes that there is reasonable doubt that Okubo-san is the killer, rendering the prosecution's central argument unsound. Your Honor, taking this new testimony into account, I'd like to call Shono-san back to the stand for cross-examination. Shono-san.
Yes?
Let's see how Shono is responding to the evidence of testimony. Yarisana-san, testimony out in the room.
I'll get right to the point.
Sorry.
On the day of the crime, what did you see when you looked into Waku-san's room?
I saw Waku-san asleep in his bed, I think.
And did you get a clear look at his face?
I don't remember.
So it's possible that it could have been someone other than Waku-san in that bed. Or maybe even a pillow that you mistook to be Waku-san's body. Isn't that right?
Objection! The defense is leading the witness.
Sustained. Please rephrase the question.
Shono-san, can you say without a doubt that Waku-san was in that bed when you checked on him?
I don't think I can, no.
Then the defense rests. But I do have a quick remark for the prosecution.
Huh?
Prosecution argument has fallen apart. Now I could go in for the kill.
The charges against my client stem from your assertion that he's the only possible suspect, assuming the crime took place within the stated time frame. However, the defense has proven without a doubt that Shono-san's testimony is unreliable, establishing reasonable doubt for my client. I would suggest then that you withdraw the charges against my client. With such inconclusive evidence, you'll only be wasting the court's precious time.
The prosecution does not consider the witness's testimony inconclusive. His memory of the incident may be fuzzy, yes, but that doesn't change that he saw the victim.
So, your whole case is based on a fuzzy memory? This promising young man's future is at stake, and you're willing to throw that away on unreliable testimony?
Dr. Shono is a bright and diligent researcher. After watching his own grandmother develop dementia, he vowed to create a drug that could cure the disease. After paying his own way through medical school, he went on to become the head researcher at the ADDC. Day after day, Dr. Shono visits his sick patients out of the kindness of his heart, leading to his valiant testimony here today. If you want to know whether I trust this man, then my answer is a resounding yes.
In other words, because he's such a great researcher, his testimony is infallible. His own admission that he's not sure is somehow overlooked? Is that the sum of it? Because from here, it sounds like you're putting your faith in Shono-san's title, not his testimony today.
The prosecution is not as easily swayed as you think. And you want to talk reputation? What of your client's history of domestic abuse?
Uh-oh. He's gonna bring the Okubo's record.
6 years ago, the defendant broke his girlfriend's finger. The poor girl is still suffering from the effects. And the cause? A minor, drunken disagreement. Now, fast forward to what occurred a few days prior to the crime. Waku-san, suspecting the defendant of stealing his wallet, lashed out and punched the defendant in the face. Given the clearly violent nature of Okubo-san here, that alone would be motivation enough to murder the poor old...
Oh, what's gonna happen?
Is something wrong, ma'am? Please remain seated while court is in session.
Is she gonna say something?
Terasawa-san?
Okubo-san is not a violent person. And he hasn't even had a drink in over 6 years. Not a single drop since the incident.
My court will not stand for this commotion.
He didn't blame Waku-san at all. He knew that the outburst was just caused by his dementia, that it was all the sickness's fault. So there was no reason for him to resort to murder.
Terasawa-san, please.
Okubo-san really is an incredible, caring person.
Please leave this courtroom at once.
You're right that he may be hard to approach, but he's a kind soul, and he always keeps his promises. Okubo-san's not the only person in this courtroom who would be affected by a guilty verdict, either. As a matter of fact, it would break my heart. And even through it all, he wanted me to keep this a secret, not to tell anyone, not even his lawyer, that we were dating.
Uh-oh.
Even though he knew he could have ended up in prison, making sure I was safe was the only thing in the world he cared about. That's just who he is! But when the prosecution has already decided he's a criminal, how could he possibly be given a fair trial?
Oh, get him.
Her little outburst wasn't technically admissible, but as the trial dragged on, it hung over the jury like a stone. And in the end, Shinpei Okubo was found not guilty. But only a month after his release, everything changed.
But that's where Oku murdered his girlfriend.
The same girl who had so bravely proclaimed Okubo's innocence died by the man's own hand.
Wow. Oh, here's that doctor. You sure not happy to see me?
Hi.
Something wrong?
No, it's nothing, Vice Minister.
But
I haven't seen you in about 3 years, Kido-san. See, you're still the director.
You look familiar, but I can't quite place the name. I seem to recall you looking sharper.
I'm a detective based in Kamurocho now. The name's Yagami.
Ah, I remember now. You're the reason Terasawa-kun's no longer with us. Remember, Shono?
Okubo-san was unstoppable. If only my testimony had been better.
Shono-san, right?
Does it matter? What brings you here anyway?
I'm investigating a murder, and I'll need your cooperation with it. Just like old times.
Yes, I see. Yes, thank you. It does seem we received a phone call from this Shintani-san you speak of.
Do you know who he was calling?
Dr. Shono.
The same Shono-san you were just with?
Why is Shintani call Shono?
Yes, however, it's unclear as to what the point of the call was meant to be. Shono was away from his desk at the time, you see, and Shintani-san didn't leave a message.
You have no idea what he wanted to talk about?
None. Shono says he doesn't know a Shintani-san, and sees no reason why he would be calling.
Oh, really?
Look, Shono and I co-authored the research paper on AD9. We're quite well known, as it turns out. Sometimes, complete strangers pretend to be close friends or relatives in order to contact us. Perhaps Shintani-san fell into that category.
Have you heard of the mole murders taking place in Kamurocho, Dr. Kido? 3 Yakuza, each one with their eyes gouged out. It's a grisly business. Shintani was killed in the same way.
I've seen the news.
Can you think of anything tying the ADDC to those murders?
Huh? Look, just what are you implying? I believe we're done here. There's nothing I can help you with.
Please stop! You can't!
What just happened?
Who are you?
Detective Kuroiwa, Kamuro Police, Organized Crime. One of your guests here has information related to the case I'm currently investigating. That would be you, Yagami.
Hmm?
I'd like to speak to you as a material witness to the murder of the lawyer Masamichi Shintani.
Is that so?
Okay, what's that just happened?